Okay, as promised, here is the tutorial on how to make this bracelet. We are going to be making it out of the center strand of this lightning grounding wire. I'm not sure. That's what it's called. I found it on Amazon. It is, I thought it was 18 gauge. I was wrong. It is 17 gauge, which I have not been able to locate 17 gauge bare copper wire to make another tutorial using just the wire and then building it up from scratch. But I did find it in aluminum. I don't think aluminum would be the same sturdiness, but it would still work, I suppose. So anyways, we are going to go ahead and get out a length. I'm not sure at this point how long I needed it to be. I wanted to make one that was going to fit my wrist, and so here I am trying to figure out how long that needs to be. I'm going to wrap it around this. I think we all have these wee yogurt jars, don't we? They're pretty handy. I had to tell my husband to stop buying them for me. Anyways, and then I was like, well, duh, let's just see. Let's count the X's. How many X's are on? Well, I didn't figure out the X's at that point. I was just bending it around. Let's see. I do figure that out, though. Or did I count? I think I did count. Anyways, cutting it. Okay. So for my bracelet, I think I counted, what, 5 X's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on just one side. And so I think I get that figured out here pretty quick. And then it's just a matter of peeling back the wires. We're going to peel back these first 4. See, I'm trying to figure it out, because I'm trying to figure out how to teach you, and while I'm trying to figure out what it was I did before twice, because, you know, I just made it. I didn't have to stop and think about what I was doing, so I could explain it later. And this time I'm trying to do both. Trying to walk and chew gum. It's so much fun. Okay, so I am going to need a center wire to hold the bead, and then 4 wires to capture it. And you know what? I could have used that 5th one now that I'm thinking about it, after I've made 4 of these. So go ahead and leave that 5th wire in. Don't cut it out, and we'll just we'll make it a 5 prong instead of a 4 prong. How about that? I think the next one I'll do that. But anyways, this one just shows how to make the 4 prong. So I'm going to bend up those 2 wires and then wrap these 2 around. And now here's where it gets kind of maybe a little bit complicated, because there's, like, you have to think about what you're doing here to tuck these wires and hide them. What I did was choose a wire opposite each other, and then I wrap the wrapped around wire. I wrap it around it once and then cut it short. So here, you'll see that in just a second. I'm still figuring things out. And what I'm doing here with on the wires, rubbing it, when you do that, it warms it up. The friction from your finger warms up the molecules in the wire, and it causes it to become very pliable. So then you can straighten it, and you can work out those kinks with your fingers. Snip that center wire. So this one, go ahead and keep that if you want to just make it a 5 prong. And then with these 2 end wires, oops, I think when I focus what I'm doing when recording, I tend to wander out of frame, because I'm more focused on what I'm doing than on whether or not I'm in frame. So yeah. Okay, so wrap the wires around opposite So like 2 of the prong wires are going to have the wrapped around them at the base, and that's how I did the tuck in there. Oh, the tools you'll need needle nose pliers, flush cutters. I use a variety of tools, but the main things you're going to need your flush cutters. You're going to need needle nose pliers. I also have my groovy pliers. They have little notches in them, so I can grab the wire without marring it and move it around, which you can't really see. Well, now you can see. Yeah, these Wolf Tools groovy pliers. I highly recommend those. I think they're on my tool list on my Amazon recommends. I think I'm pretty sure the Wolf groovy pliers are in there. Okay, so here we got a center, and what am I doing there? I don't know. Oh, I'm bending it up just a little bit on the prongs. I don't know why I didn't go with 5 prongs. I know, because originally I was copying my very first bracelet that I made, and it only has 4 prongs. Those are my memory wire plier cutters. Say that 3 times fast. Not necessary, because the rest of it I was cutting at 17 gauge. I was cutting it with my regular flush cutters, so those aren't necessary. I was just experimenting with different ways of doing it. So the most important thing here with your prongs is to get it at least halfway up on the side of your bead, whatever size bead you chose. I believe I have 10mm beads that I'm putting at the end of this. I'm using faux turquoise beads. I'm not even sure they're howlite. I think they're just made of resin. They're pretty, but they are not real turquoise that I'm using. But you could use any bead you want. And then I'm trying to cut it to where it's a slant going in, so I'm trying to figure out what the right technique is to teach y'all, and at this point I haven't figured it out. I do figure it out later towards the end of making the bracelet. On the other side. When I get to the other side, I figure out a better way to cut it. So here I'm cutting it, and then I'm filing and doing a lot of what ended up being just unnecessary work. Really, all you have to do is just cut it and then just shape it with your pliers, because the copper is really soft, so you can just like round it and make it look really nice just with the pliers. But I don't figure that out until later. So at this point, I'm still trying to do the math to figure out a lot of unnecessary work here, so we're just going to fast forward through that. And here again, I'm using tools that aren't necessary. The rubber coated pliers to squish it down. It ended up that all I need to do is just grab it with the pliers and pull it up and twist it, like pull it in an up and twisting motion to get it like up and over the bead, and then tweak it at the bottom to give it leverage. because it's leverage that's going to hold the prongs in place. The bead is actually going to be held in place with epoxy or adhesive. I'm using, well, we'll get to that. As with everything, there is a little bit of a learning curve, so this is me still learning. And the pliers that are in my hand now are the ones that I end up using the most. So I just do a little pull up and twisting motion at the top to curve the copper, and it gives it a really nice little shine. I can move those around, and there we go. That's one side done. Okay. And then I took 3 days off and decided to come back and finally finish it. 3 days because I had a lot of things going on in life, but I made it back. So now we know how long we want it to be. So we figured up the X's on the original copper, on the one I made that everybody liked on TikTok, and the one I'm making now. So we're just going to match those up, and then I want my other bead to be about there. So let's see. Then I forget what I'm doing, and then it takes me a minute to figure it out again. And then we're going to do just like on the other side. We're going to peel away these wires all the way down to where we want our bead to sit. And we're going to repeat the exact same thing on this side that we did on the other side. I'm going to go ahead and slow it down for you a little bit and just let you watch without me talking, and yeah, just enjoy it. Okay, this is real time. So here I figured out how to just mark where I needed to cut the wire without doing all that roundabout stuff that I did on the other side. So we're just gonna go here and move out of frame. I guess that's what I'm doing. Okay, I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, I'm back. I must have wandered off. Something must have got my attention. So we're just gonna go ahead and take a breath and pick a spot and not measure and just cut, because that's how we roll. But I would recommend measuring, actually. So measure on your bead where you want it to go, or just go for it like I did. I give myself permission to screw up, that way I don't feel badly if I do, or when I do. So not all of these are the same length, they're going to vary. Whee! Here we go. We're going to trim that middle wire. And then we're going to mess with the prongs. I'm filing off the sharp edges here, which I realized later that I can just smooth out with my pliers. So the file is not a necessary step at all. So here we're going to sit it and see how it sits. Squish those prongs in with my rubber coated pliers. Again, those are not necessary. The white coating is a product called Tool Magic. It helps protect wire from heavy hands, which I sometimes have. Okay, so now we are going to go ahead and get everything glued into place. I'm using B7000. You could also use E6000 if you have that, or whatever your favorite bead to metal adhesive is. This is just what I am using. It is, I believe I have it on my list. If not, I'll go add that on my Amazon jewelry crafter recommend. It's pinned. It's the very first one when you go in there. So I wanted to make it easy for y'all. Okay. So that's down, and now we're gonna get everything tightened into place. I'm gonna go ahead and make sure I got the tool magic up towards the top of the list, because I'm using it so much here. I know I keep saying it's not necessary, and I did make 2 more bracelets after this one without using it, but here I'm showing it, so I don't want to confuse anyone, so I'll just go ahead and add that to the list. Now here I'm using these tiny needle nose pliers to get in under the prong, and I'm tweaking it out to give it the leverage it needs. These orange handled pliers, I found those at Hobby Lobby. They come in a set of 3 for like, I don't even know what the price is. I'm not even gonna say. I honestly don't. And now we're just gonna shape it and see how it compares to the one we were using as our template. That's the most important thing. Does it fit on my wrist? Because I need to show people how it looks when it's being worn. So I have a lot of people saying, I want it, but do they know what it looks like when it's worn? And are they going to like the way it looks once it's on a wrist? Or sometimes it's just nice to have things on a shelf just to look at. They're just really appealing to the eye. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and add these crystals on the center, because these are beads, and I hide that hole using a crystal. It is, see, I used it also here on the hematite, and the hematite is the first one I used, but I don't have any more pieces of hematite that big, so. Anyways, these are the crystals I use, and these I bought years and years and years ago from Fire Mountain Gems. This is the stock number. Oh, I didn't realize there was a glare. They're chatons. They are 9 pp. Don't ask me what that means, because I don't remember. I would have to Google it. 9 pp is the size for the holes on my bead, and I think they're, I want to say just over a millimeter, probably 1.5. Not sure. Here we are putting the glue in the hole. Okay, using my little sticky wand tool to pick up the chaton and place it in place, and then I tap it down with the other end. Do the same on the other side. Tap that down, and that's it. All we have to do now is wait for the glue to dry, and we're done. I'm going to give it 24 hours. There. Congratulations, you have now completed your bracelet. It's the same, only different from the first one that I made, and about the same size as the first one I made. I hope you've enjoyed watching me learn how to make these and try to teach you how to make these. I hope somebody gets some benefit out of this. I know if nobody else does, it'll be a refresher for me when I come back in a couple of years and watch this to try and remember how I made these. So, okay, thanks for watching, and have a great day.